Good morning. I am Samriddhi K.C. and these are the headlines of the hour. Today marks 19 years since establishment of democracy, public's faith upon system fading away as political parties remain entangled in power struggles. Parliamentary committee reports states involvement of then Finance and Tourism ministers in irregularities during construction of Pokhara Airport, policy level decision makers to fall under scrutiny. Pakistani diplomats stationed in Delhi ordered to leave India following deadly Jammu Kashmir attack. Indian Security Committee decides to suspend Sindhua Treaty. And Mumbai Indians secured their 5th victory in the ongoing Indian Premier League, defeat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 7 wickets. Nepal marked 19 years since the establishment of democracy on 11th of Baishakh 2063 BS following the Second People's Movement that led to the reinstatement of the parliament dissolved on 8th of Jester 2059 BS by then King Gyanendra Shaha. The commemoration marks the day the king relinquished power to political parties. However, even after 2 decades, citizens have not fully experienced the benefits of democracy.
The first Constituent Assembly elected in 2064 BS after the declaration of the end of monarchy on 28th of May 2008 failed to draft a constitution. The second Constituent Assembly elected in 2070 BS promulgated the Federal Democratic Republican Constitution in 2072 BS.
नेपाल राज्यको सम्पूर्ण कार्यकारिणी अधिकार मन्त्री परिषदमा निहित रहनेछ। श्री 5 को सरकारलाई अब उपरान्त नेपाल सरकार बनिनेछ।
Subsequently, 2 general elections have been held, enabling citizens to elect their representatives at all 3 levels of government. Achievements include a strong press freedom, equality, inclusion, an independent judiciary, proportional representation, and universal sovereignty. Despite these achievements, the daily lives of citizens haven't significantly improved. Job opportunities have shrunk and accessing public services remains difficult. Nearly 3 million citizens have been waiting for driver's licenses for about 3 years. Citizens are compelled to deal with middlemen for services ranging from land registration to passport applications. The country's economic condition has weakened and economic inequality has risen. The question remains, how did citizens become deprived of the rights in a democratic system they fought for?
लोकतन्त्रले त अवसर दिने हो नि त अवसरको पनि समानुपातिक वितरण गर्नुपर्ने न्यायोचित वितरण गर्नुपर्ने हो त्यो अवसरको पनि डिस्ट्रिब्युसन भएन प्रोपरली त्यो अवसर त्यसले मात्रै पायो जुन मान्छे चाहिँ राजनीतिक दल या राजनीतिक नेताप्रति चाहिँ बढी नजिक छ त्यसपछि अंग्रेजीमा एउटा पोलिटिकल साइन्सको मान्छेले भन्छ के क्लोज एक्सेस अर्डर हामीले क्रिएट गर्यो 20-25 वर्षको ड्युरेसनमा जसले गर्दाखेरि एउटा लोकतन्त्रप्रति नै मान्छेको चाहिँ विश्वास गुम्दै गयो.
Democracy is ideally government of the people, by the people, and for the people. However, the implementation of the 2072 Constitution has been flawed. Experts believe that instead of strengthening the foundations of democracy, political parties are engaged in power struggles, hindering citizens from exercising the constitutional rights. Persistent political instability, lack of coordination among government bodies, and a lack of leadership will have contributed to the situation. The lack of coordination among the 3 levels of government, absence of political will, and abuse of power are weakening democracy and breeding distrust. Rampant corruption, restrictions on internal party democracy, and a lack of constitutional supremacy have left citizens disillusioned.
देशमा स्वरोजगार उत्पादन गर्न सकिरहेको छैन. हाम्रा युवाहरूलाई अहिलेको मेरो जेनेरेसनलाई चाहिँ हामीहरूलाई चाहिँ एउटा सेवा सुविधा युक्त र गुणस्तरीय शिक्षा सुविधाहरू चाहिन्छ. त्यो खालको डेलिभरी भइरहेको छैन. अनि त्यो नहुँदै गर्दाखेरि हाम्रा लाखौं युवाहरू विदेश पलायन हुनुपर्ने अवस्था छ. त्यसकारण मलाई लाग्छ त्यो खालको लोकतन्त्रको एक्सरसाइज भइरहेको छैन.
लोकतन्त्रलाई सबल बनाउनको लागि पार्टीहरू र नेतृत्वको रूपान्तरण चाहिँ आवश्यक छ र आज हामीले गर्नुपर्ने कुरा के नै हो. लोकतन्त्र पार्टी र नेतातन्त्रमा जुन संकुचित भयो यो संकुचनको धागो खोल्नु पर्यो. अब
There are rising concerns about the weakening of democracy. Expert opines that the political leadership is unwilling to reform and second-tier leaders have failed to raise critical questions. The effective implementation of the constitution is crucial for strengthening democracy and ensuring good governance for the people. The current working style of leaders, power-sharing practices, and abuse of power will not only weaken state institutions but also exacerbate public discontent.
A subcommittee under the Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament has recommended investigating and taking action against those involved in policy and procedural decisions during the construction of the Pokhara Regional International Airport. The subcommittee, which concluded that corruption of more than 10 billion rupees occurred involving the then project chief and Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, CAN Pradeep Adhikari, and 8 others, has recommended investigating and taking action against those involved in policy and procedural decisions. Members of the subcommittee claimed that the then Finance and Tourism Ministers were also involved.
A subcommittee under the Accounts Committee has prepared a report stating that corruption of more than 10 billion rupees occurred in the Pokhara Regional International Airport project. The report mentions directing the Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority, CIAA, and the Department of Money Laundering Investigation to immediately suspend and conduct further investigation and take action against 8 individuals, including the Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, Pradeep Adhikari. The report also recommends taking action against those involved in policy and procedural corruption in the airport construction. However, the names of those who made policy decisions are not mentioned. Not all members of the committee have signed the report due to disagreements among themselves regarding whether to include the names of the then ministers who made policy decisions. This is why the subcommittee has not been able to finalize the report. The publicly released report mentions corruption and recommends action only against the employees of the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal. However, another report, which specifically names those involved in policy decisions, has been kept confidential by the subcommittee itself. After the question arose about who was involved in the policy decisions regarding the irregularities during the airport construction, we inquired with the members of the subcommittee, which was coordinated by the chairperson of the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, Rajendra Lingden. Some parliamentarians, on condition of anonymity, claimed that the finance and tourism ministers involved from the very beginning of the construction appeared to be implicated. The Pokhara airport construction work began after the Ministry of Finance approved it on 27th of November 2011. According to the report, the then Finance Minister, Barsha Manpun, approved it. A tender process was advertised for the construction of the airport at a cost of 14 billion rupees. 3 construction companies submitted bids, with the lowest bid being 22 billion rupees. According to the Public Procurement Act, if the tender amount exceeds the specified amount, the tender should be cancelled and re-invited. However, instead of doing so, a debate arose on whether the contract could be awarded to the company willing to work at the lowest bid in the old process. The proposal to award the contract to the lowest bidder reached the election cabinet. In 2069 BS, the election cabinet, led by the then Chief Justice Khilraj Regmi, rejected the proposal. Following this, the authority formed a 3-member committee headed by the then Registrar of the Supreme Court, Ram Krishna Timalsena. After the committee suggested that the contract could be awarded according to the old tender, corruption and irregularities began. Ram Kumar Shrestha appears to have been the Minister of Tourism at that time. The authority made this decision while he was the Minister of Tourism, even though it was illegal to do so without cancelling the old tender. The report does not specify the minister's involvement in this. However, it was from this point that the contract for the airport, estimated to cost 14 billion rupees, reached about 22 billion rupees. After that, Pradeep Adhikari, who was the airport project chief from Nepalese year of 2071 to 2074, is now the Director General of the authority. During his tenure as the project chief, Adhikari repeatedly corresponded with the Ministry of Finance through the Ministry of Tourism for payments through the authority. Some members of the subcommittee claimed the involvement of the finance and tourism ministers who were in office from the date the airport construction began until its completion. During this period, Bhimacharya, Anand Pokhrel, Jitendra Narayan Dev, Rabindra Adhikari and Yogesh Patrai served as tourism ministers. Likewise, Ram Sharan Mahat, Vishnu Paudel, Krishna Bahadur Mahara, Yuvraj Khatiwada, Janardhan Sharma and Gyanendra Bahadur Karki served as finance ministers. The subcommittee's report does not specify whose tenure saw which decisions and what the involvement was. However, loan agreements and tax exemptions are mentioned. Parliamentarians say that since the ministry did not provide the necessary documents when requested by the subcommittee, they could not specify names and therefore further investigation has been recommended by the CIAA and the Department of Money Laundering Investigation. Furthermore, the report has not yet been finalized. Differences of opinion have emerged within the subcommittee itself. This is why two different reports seem to have been prepared. However, due to political motives and biases, a report that does not mention the names of political leaders has been made public even before the report was finalized. Now, with the issue in controversy, the responsibility of investigation whether or not corruption occurred in the construction of the Pokhara airport lies with state bodies, including the CIAA. Along with this, the question of why the report prepared by the subcommittee was made public before being presented to the Accounts Committee also needs to be answered.
It is time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, why have investigative agencies failed to initiate probe into the alleged corruption at Pokhara International Airport? Option A, protecting leaders. Option B, weak institutions. And option C, preparations probably underway. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. The body of Nepali youth Sudeep Neupane, who was killed in a terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir, India, was brought to Nepal this morning. Following the initiative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sudeep's body was transported by air from Srinagar to New Delhi and then to Lucknow. From there, it was brought by ambulance to the Nepal-India border. Sudeep's relatives had reached Sunauli to receive the body. "27-year-old Sudeep Neupane, a resident of Butwal sub-metropolitan city 14, died on Tuesday in a terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir, India. Sudeep had gone to India for a trip on April 19th with his mother, sister and brother-in-law. Neighbors reported that his mother sustained minor injuries in the stampede during the attack, while his sister and his brother-in-law are safe. Over the past few days, the temperature has been increasing across the country, especially in the central and western Tarai. The temperature has already crossed 40 degrees Celsius. Along with this, the number of patients coming to hospitals with heat-related problems has started to increase. So the doctors have suggested adopting precautions. The Meteorological Forecasting Division has stated that as there is no possibility of rain for the next 2 days and the temperature is likely to increase further.
मध्य र पश्चिमी तराईको भूभागमा चाहिँ तापक्रम चाहिँ अलिकति यो 40 को हाराहारीमै रहने जस्तो देखिन्छ। अब बाँकी भूभागको कुरा गर्नु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कोशी प्रदेश अनि यो बाँकी प्रदेशका पहाडी भूभागमा चाहिँ अलिकति तापक्रम चाहिँ जस त्यस्तो धेरै नबढ्ने, किनभने ती स्थानहरुमा चाहिँ अलिकति यो बदली हुने अनि गण्डकी र यो कोशी प्रदेशका थोरै स्थानहरुमा चाहिँ वर्षाको पनि सम्भावना छ।
With the increase in temperature, people are facing difficulties in walking around during the day, working in fields and even going out for regular work.
4-5 दिन भयो गरम भएको है, अनि यसो हिँड्दाखेरि अनि प्यास लाग्दो रहेछ अनि यसो फलफुल खानलाई यसो बसेको।
The number of patients visiting hospitals with problems such as diarrhea, typhoid and the common cold has also started to increase. In Teko Hospital in Kathmandu alone, the number of patients arriving at the hospital with heat-related health problems has increased by 25%. The situation is similar in other hospitals as well. Some patients even need to be admitted and treated.
गर्मी मौसमले गर्दा बिरामीहरू दिनानुदिन वृद्धि हुँदै गएको देखिन्छ। ओपीडीमा दैनिक 1000 जना बिरामीहरू आएको रेकर्डबाट देखिन्छ भने र दिनादिन वार्डमा हेर्दाखेरि त्यस्तो खालको सरुवा रोग सम्बन्धी बिरामीहरू वार्डमा भर्ना दर बढेको छ र इमर्जेन्सीमा आउने अधिकांश बिरामीहरू पनि ज्वरो रुगाखोकी र झाडापखालाहरू लिएर आइराख्नु भएको छ, जुन यो गर्मीको कारणले गर्दा बढेको देखिन्छ। गएको महिनाभन्दा अहिले 25% जतिले चाहिँ बिरामीको संख्या वृद्धि भएको देखिन्छ।
Doctors have suggested not to eat and drink indiscriminately during this time. They have also advised not to go out of the house unnecessarily, and if it is necessary to go out, to use an umbrella or wear clothes that cover the body, not to eat rotten food, to drink plenty of water and to use only boiling water after purification.
रोगहरू फैलिने गर्छ। हैजा झाडा पखाला कुराहरू छ, ज्वरोका बिरामीहरू बिस्तारै आउने क्रम पनि अब सुरु भइसकेको अवस्था छ। यसबाट मुख्यतया चाहिँ बच्नुपर्ने भनेको चाहिँ हामीले साबुन पानीले हात धुने, विशेष गरेर खानुभन्दा अगाडि र टोयलेट चर्पी गइसकेपछिको कुराहरू भयो।
Doctors have urged everyone to remain vigilant, as taking timely precautions can help prevent problems that may arise due to the heat. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.